Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over the 2026 Florida primary elections. You may have already seen my videos on the Florida governor primary for the Republicans and the Florida U.S. Senate primary for the Democrats, but I also want to go over briefly the congressional primaries in the state of Florida. There were a lot of primaries that took place, but there were a lot of really interesting ones, including some upsets and a incumbent going down as well. That's going to be very important for the elections in the midterms. So here on the side, we have a few of the races here listed, and we also have the vault page showed up of all the primaries that took place in the state of Florida. We're going to first go through the main 11 or so that Decision Desk HQ points out on the side. Then we'll go from there. We have a lot to get to, so we'll just jump right into it. We'll start with the Democratic primary in the Florida House 20th District, where Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz does end up winning this district, which encompasses Fort Lauderdale, Sunrise, and Pompano Beach. This was the district that after Florida's map got redrawn, she chose to run in, and there was some not scandals, but I would say publicity made about the fact that she was running in a district that has such a high population of blacks and black voters living in this area, and ultimately it was a little bit of a scuffle in the media about that, but she does ultimately end up winning, getting 45.32% of the vote. So Wasserman Schultz does win here. And I believe based on the rankings for the 20th district will likely go on to win a re-election here in the 20th or win for another term. Yeah, it's looking to be a very Democratic margin here on the Vote Hub website. They have it listed at 46.2% for the Democrats. So this should be a safe Democratic win for Wasserman Schultz. No real surprises there, but she does win the primary. In the Florida House 24th District, a very close primary fight in this Democratic primary district in between Miami, up near Hollandale Beach, Hollywood, Pembroke, and Hialeah here. It ends up being a very close win, but one that Oliver Gilbert does end up winning, getting 34.35% of the vote, getting 20,390 overall votes. Chevron Jones falls just short, getting 18,984, 31.98% of the vote. Kendrick Meek gets 17.31%. Rudolph Moyes gets 7.6%. Gene Monestein 5.32%, and so forth down there. But this is a very, very close race. One I definitely wanted to highlight just because of how close it really was here. In the part of the district that encompasses Miami-Dade, Gilbert ends up winning 35.07 to 29.46 for Gilbert over Jones. Very, very close in the Miami-Dade part. And then in the part of the district that encompassed Broward County, Jones ends up winning this part 38.72 to 32.44, a net win there of roughly about 1,000 votes for Jones. So very, very close in this congressional district Democratic primary that I wanted to show off. In the 24th district. In terms of the 24th district, let me see right here. This is also a pretty reliable Democratic district, a Democrat plus 49.6. So the Democratic winner in this district, Oliver Gilbert, should be winning this by no problem. And the Florida House US 2, Austin Rogers up here in this panhandle part near Tallahassee and going out towards the border with the most far west Republican district of Florida. Austin Rogers ends up defeating Keith Gross and Evan Power to win this district. You can see the yellow as Rogers here. Keith Gross ends up in this like pinkish color, Evan Power in the orange, and then Jim Norton down here in the purplish color. But it ends up being a pretty close race, but one that Austin Rogers does end up winning. In terms of competitiveness, this district is pretty largely Republican here. It's forecasted to be Republican plus about 13.7. So no real surprises. This is a safe Republican district, or not really safe, I guess you could say likely Republican district at 13.7, but should be a pretty sizable Republican win in the general election, but this is a close primary to point out as well. Now, Florida US 7, in this primary, I would say is so far the biggest one we have to talk about because Ryan Elijah ends up defeating Republican incumbent Cory Mills, getting 47.29% of the vote to Cory Mills' 34.1%. Sarah Ulrich also got 10.5% of the vote, and Michael Johnson gets 8.11%. Now, this was very big. This district, the 7th district, which has Sanford, DeLand, and near Daytona Beach, was a very close district for Cory Mills, and the forecast for this one showed a very competitive race where he was only projected to win Mills by 3.4% in the margin of victory against the Democratic candidate on the Vote Hub website, which 3.4% for this district is really not that much, considering under the old map in 2024, Let me pull up the House map, from 2024 here. Cory Mills, this is the Vote Hub projection. Let's pull up for 2026. Let's pull up past elections here. It ends up being a 13-point win for Mills in 2024 under the old map. And again, as you can see on those projections here from Vote Hub, only a 3.6% margin of victory forecasted win for Cory Mills in this district had he won the primary. So this is a situation, there was speculation as well about Cory Mills and scandals that are kind of skeletons in the closet that have not been fully reported yet that the Democrats could unleash on Mills had he got to the general election. In a way, for the Republicans, Cory Mills losing this primary almost seems like kind of like a crisis avoided. We're probably going to end up seeing a election where Republicans lose or win this race by more than what the Cory Mills one could have been, which may have been a Democratic loss, to be honest. So Democrats, I think, probably seeing this result are probably going to be disappointed that Ryan Elijah, it's still going to be probably a close race, but Cory Mills would probably have a better chance of losing that race than Ryan Elijah will. But ultimately, seeing a Republican incumbent go down, though, still a pretty big, significant thing, especially considering President Trump did endorse Cory Mills. In the 14th district, Mike Beltran defeats the Republican Kevin Steele in this district in Hillsborough County. This is the Tampa district right here. This is going to be, I believe, to face off against Democratic incumbent Kathy Castor. We can look here in JJ election map. Yes, Kathy Castor in the 14th district will be facing off against the Republican now, and that Republican candidate, again, will be Mike Beltran. In terms of what the race starts out as, on the Vote Hub projection, they have it listed at Democrat +2 for Kathy Castor. Overall vote share about 51-49 in favor of Castor. So this map has been redrawn on the new Florida map to be more competitive, but still a very close race that Castor is nearly favored to hold on to. But this could end up being a very close one, especially if Republicans maybe outperform the midterm expectation. This could be a very close race that Republicans could potentially flip. I don't think they're favored right now, but they definitely have the potential to do so. In the 19th district for Florida U.S. House, this one won't be too much of a surprise, as it still should be a very solid Republican win, as Vote Hub has a 23.4% margin of victory for the Republicans in November. But the Republican primary is what the most interesting part was. This is the primary that had a ton of people running in it, including several candidates that were not previously from the state that were running in different states in past election cycles. You had Jim Schwartzel, Catalina Lauf, Jim Oberweis, Madison Cawthorn. Yes, that Madison Cawthorn. Chris Collins, Mike Peterson, John Strand, Hawa Tema, Greg Bukowski, Linda Sawyer, a lot of candidates running in this race. Now, this race got interesting the final few days because Catalina Lauf got the endorsement of President Trump a few days ago, and her odds to win the race obviously shot up very significantly. And then as the results started coming in, it became very clear that Jim Schwartzel ended up winning this primary in the place that includes Fort Myers and Cape Coral, ends up going for Jim Schwartzel over Catalina Lauf. This is the current district that's held by Byron Donalds, who just won the Republican primary for governor. But for the general election, this race shouldn't be too competitive. But for the Republican primary one, this ended up being a very, very competitive one that also includes parts of Naples as well. I forgot to mention in Collier County and up in Lee County. But very close competitive Republican primary. Jim Schwartzel ends up winning it, who I do believe is the Florida born and raised candidate from the state does actually end up winning this one. And then in the U.S. House 25, Scott Singer, the Republican, does end up winning this district in the Fort Lauderdale one here. And then 25th, that also includes parts of Miami-Dade as well. He ends up winning here 31.38% against Republican George Moraitis, 27.41%. Dan Francisi, third at 25.65% of the vote, with Joseph Kaufman getting 12.4% and Raven Harrison 3.15%. So this is definitely a very, very close race in this 25th district. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Jared Moskowitz race. Yes, Florida 25, which currently has on the Vote Hub margins Moskowitz to win by about 4.1% at 52.07 to 47.93. So this is definitely going to be a very close, important race to watch as well. Even in the redrawn map, Jared Moskowitz, obviously very big election overperformer in the past. We'll see if that happens under the new map as well, but this could be another very important one to watch for on the map as well. In terms of some of the other races, keep an eye on. We can look at some of the closer ones in terms of margins, like Florida 22 is Republican plus 4.1 here. In Florida 22, the Democrat Pia Dandaya ends up winning that primary. In Florida 22 for the Republicans, Casey Asgar ends up winning that one. Again, that's going to be a pretty close, important race at Republican +4 on the Vote Hub rankings. For Florida 9, 71.2% probability for the Republicans, but only a 4.3% margin of victory right now in that race. We can take a look here at the Florida 9 primaries as well, where this is going to be Republican Dan Green ends up winning a narrow primary. He'll be facing off against the Democrat. I believe that might be Darren Soto's race. Yes, it is. Darren Soto ran unopposed in this race, but that's going to be a very important race to keep an eye out for as well for competitiveness in the general election in Florida 22 and Florida 9. Cory Mills, obviously in the 7th we just talked about. We talked about Florida 2. Some of these other races that could be competitive, Florida 26, 12-point margin of victory right now. Florida 28, 13.6. On the new map, probably won't be too much. Florida 16, 8-point Republican victory right now. Has the potential to be competitive. I'm not sure if it ultimately end up being competitive, but we can take a look here. Florida 16, we can take a look and just see Democrats end up going to Kelly Kirshner, wins that primary. Florida 16 for the Republicans is Sidney Gruters, wins that district. And that also includes parts of Pinellas County in St. Pete as well in the newly redrawn map. And that one, Anna Paulina Luna's district, the Florida 13 one, gets a lot of attention as well. She's currently forecast to win by about 7.6%. She wins, obviously, unopposed in the 13th district. For the Democrats, they're putting up Leela Gray as a Democrat candidate running against Luna in that district. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out as well. In terms of some of the other competitive ones, that's really it in terms of like the super competitive ones. Florida 11 could potentially get competitive as well, but I don't know if it ultimately will be. The Democrats are putting up James Pericola in this district. In Florida 11, Republican Joe Strata ends up narrowly, very closely winning this primary against Carrie Baker, only winning it by, looks like, under 300 votes. So definitely very, very close in this primary for the House district in Florida 11. And that's pretty much it from a competitive standpoint. Florida 12, Gus Bilirakis could be competitive, but seems to be projected to win by about 11.3%. And then also we have Florida 4 with Aaron Bean as well, a 9-point Republican margin of victory projection in Florida 4. Lastly, take a look at the Democratic primary for that one, but the Democratic candidate will be LaShonda Holloway in right around this Jacksonville district. So very important results out of the 2026 Florida congressional map. I think definitely Cory Mills going down in the Republican primary, I think probably is the most notable. To be honest, seeing a Republican incumbent lose, especially one that could have made that election very, very close, seeing him go down is honestly pretty significant for the general election, and definitely I think worth noting and worth talking about. But I'm interested to hear what you think in the comment section down below, what you think of these results and all that stuff, and maybe a race that I did not talk about as much in this video. If you want to leave your thoughts in the comment section about all that, please feel free. For now, though, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please, again, remember to hit like and subscribe so you get notified when I post a new video, which I do every single day, and I hope to see you in a future video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I really appreciate it if you could hit like and hit subscribe as well. It really helped me and my channel out a whole lot if you could do that for me. You can see in the circle on the top left the subscribe here button to subscribe to the channel. On the right, there are going to be 2 video pop-ups for you. My latest video will be on the top, and a recommended playlist by myself will be on the bottom as well. In the bottom left of the screen, you'll see my channel name, Anthony's Election Center, which you are currently watching. On my Facebook, Anthony.ElectionCenter is also there. And if you want to reach out to me on email, anthpredicts@gmail.com is my email. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. If you want to look for any of these, obviously in more time, please feel free. But for now, though, that is it. I really thank you all for watching and hope to see you in a future video.